Let's look at some equivalent fractions. What are equivalent fractions? Equivalent fractions are fractions that name the same amount. There is the same relationship between the numerator and the denominator. Our learning target for today is I can use fraction bars to represent equivalent fractions. Let's take a look at some examples. Before we get started, make sure you have your fraction bars in front of you. If you don't, pause the video and go and get some now. Let's find some fractions that are equivalent to one whole. I wonder how many thirds it would take to be equivalent to one whole. Let's try it. Here we have 1/3, 2/3. Wow, you guessed it. 3/3 is equivalent to one whole. And I would write that as 3/3 is equivalent to one whole. Wow, does that always work? When the numerator is the same as denominator, does that mean that those fractions are always equivalent to one whole? Let's try some more. Let's try another one. I wonder how many fourths are equivalent to one whole. Use your fraction bars to build it in front of you. You're right. 4/4 is equivalent to one whole. Now let's see if our same rule applies. When we write it, we know we have 4, and we know those pieces are cut into fourths. And we know that that is equivalent to one whole. And look, our numerator is the same as our denominator. Wow. Let's try one more. Pick one to do on your own. Pause the video and hit play when you're ready to go again. Now you may have picked a different fraction to build another whole, but I'm going to pick 6. I think 6/6 will be equivalent to one whole, but let's try it. Here's 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, 6/6. You are right. Here we have our numerator. We have 6 of them, and they are cut into 6. So we know that if we have 6/6, we know that is equal or equivalent to one whole. Okay, let's try some equivalent fractions. And this time, let's look at some equivalent fractions to 1/2. I wonder how many fourths it would take to be equivalent to 1/2. Pause the video and build it in front of you with your fraction bars. Great, you worked it out. 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. Now let's take a look at what that looks like when we write it out. Here we have 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. Now let's look at those numbers. Here we have 2, our numerator is half of 4, our denominator. We have 2/4. If we know that 4/4 would equal the whole, we have half of that. So we could put our whole up here to compare. Yeah, we don't have 4/4 like we did before. We only have 2/4. And if we notice, the numerator is half of the denominator. Wow, I wonder if that will always work. So let's try another one. I wonder how many 6 would be equivalent to 1/2. Go ahead and pause the video and build it in front of you. Great, you figured it out. 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2. We know we didn't have all of them to make the whole. We just had 3 of them. We had 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, and we know that is equivalent to 1/2. We would need another 3/6 to make 6/6, which would equal 1 whole or be equivalent to 1 whole. So if we write this, we would write it as 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2. Very good. And if we notice, the numerator is half of the denominator. 3 is half of 6. Wow. I wonder if you could build one on your own. Pause the video and build one in front of you. Build a fraction that is equivalent to 1/2. Now, if you picked thirds, you may have figured out that that will not work. Now let's try it and erase here. Here we have 1/3, and here we have another third, and look, that won't be equivalent to 1/2. We know that thirds are smaller than halves because the whole is cut into more pieces. So that means that the fraction is smaller. So you built some fractions equivalent to 1/2, but what happens if the numerator is not 1? So let's figure out, how can you find a fraction that is equivalent to 3/4? Well, first, we would have to build 3/4. Here's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Wow. Pause the video and see if you can find what would be an equivalent fraction. Great job. You probably noticed that you could put your 8s. Here we have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8. And if we wrote that, it would look like this. 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8. Great job. Now try this one on your own. Can you find a fraction that is equivalent to 2/6? Pause the video and try this one on your own. Great job. You probably first started with 2/6. Here we have 2/6, and you could have tried all of these to figure out what it would be equivalent to, but you probably ended up figuring out that 2/6 is equivalent to 1/3. So let's write that. 2/6 is equivalent to 1/3. Now, I want you to make as many equivalent fractions as you can. Be sure to record your thinking and show your teacher when you are finished.